The Oregon City Library Board meeting will come to order at 5:03 p.m. In attendance are Larry Osborne, Cynthia Andrews, Scott Edwards, Susie Jefferson, Nick Berkman, Carrie Linder, and library staff Maureen Cole and Denise Butcher. The first item is the approval of the minutes from last month, which you should have all received last week. Are there any corrections or additions? Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approval of the minutes say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, we'll move on to item 3, public comments. And I don't see anybody lined up, so we'll move on to my favorite portion of the meeting, item number 4, the library director's report.
Good evening, Library Board, and thank you for being here. So I shared with you a library report and statistics for the month of September. So door count, compared to August was down, but compared to September of last year, it was up 2,000, which I thought was actually pretty big. I keep wondering when we're gonna top out, but we haven't yet, so that's just very interesting. There he is. And our circulation was up by 5,000, which was really great. And I also thought it was notable that it wasn't just in ebooks, but it was all of the different materials that we had. So you might remember that and this was particularly in our state report, was very evident that in our annual statistics, our growth was truly in our circulation of e-content, our e-books specifically. So everything else was kind of flat or down. So it was kind of interesting that circulation was up in all the materials last month. And our holds from other libraries, again, it was right under 4,000, which is the difference between what we send and what we receive. We're still a net borrower as opposed to a net lender, but that number is kind of stabilized, gone down and stabilized, which is, it's good that it's not going up. So our collection is pretty healthy. And, social media was good, money was good. I don't know why, it was just a little bit more. Reference was almost twice as much as last year, but you'll remember last year I kept on saying, we're not very good at these statistics, so I think we've just gotten more stable at collecting our reference statistics. So that's statistics. Any questions on statistics before I launch into programs? Okay. Well, the biggest thing was the Library of Things, the launch of the Library of Things. And we've been working on that really, really hard. And I want to give a lot of credit to Denise, who attended all of the meetings for the Library of Things. It was like a subcommittee, right? Mm-hmm. And Erin Novinger, Katrina Sharfaros is our in-house circulation person, and then Suzanne Mills is our technical services person. So all of that team, but particularly Erin and Denise in the beginning, were participating in this probably over a year's worth of conversation with all of the other linked libraries and how to circulate these things, how to package these things, all that. And you'll recall that this is made possible because of a grant from the Sustainability Department of the county. We have spent approximately half of our grant, so we still have another $400 to $4,500 left that we can buy items and packaging with. And the packaging being certain bins and stuff that everybody's agreed to keep things safe. So that's going really well. Circulation is doing well. Yeah.
Doing well.
Great.
I know I noticed that the first day I walked in there and saw it, I was, wow, there's a lot of things. Mm-hmm. A couple of days later, I walked in and the shelves were empty because so many people had been using it, checking things out.
Which is one of the reasons that we were not super concerned about shelving space and storage, because we have heard from other libraries that have these is that most of the items are mostly checked out, which is great. That's where you want them. The one concern that we are starting to have is that we're a little bit concerned since we don't have a security system as far as on our particular items at our library, is that more things are walking out the door than should be. I mean, in our business, a little bit of loss is always just kind of like a way of, that's life. But some of these items are more expensive than, some of them are telescopes and cameras and stuff like that. So to address that situation, at least initially, we're going to add cameras in that area, put up signs, you're being monitored. We don't want to be too much like Big Brother because we're trying to balance that like small friendly library with like the reality of things walking out the door. Most people are not taking things though, and that's why how that comes off is really important to us. We don't want to make life miserable when it's just a handful of people who are probably going to be successful stealing no matter what you do. Having said that, you have to make some effort. So we're going to install more cameras in that area. And then just so you know, down the road, getting gates by the doors is always a possibility. And the new building has been wired for gates. We just chose not to put them in. And those would be on both sides, of the sliding glass doors. So that is something that might have to happen down the road, but we'll keep tracking as much as we can. Yes.
Are you tagging most of the things with RFI?
Yes.
Everything.
Everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
Some of those things would be difficult to tag.
Yeah, not the easiest in the world.
The tagging is actually on the box, not on the item.
So, but a lot of those items are like going to be a little bit on the large size too. Again, there's ways to get around some of these things. So some of it's the price of doing business, but you want to be smart about it always and, be able to reassure your taxpayers that you are doing what you can without it feeling like a prison when you walk in, because most people are not stealing again, so.
Well, is that something, can be statistics gathered on that specific area?
Yeah, I would think so. Statistics gathered on that specific area.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see what kind of,
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
how it's turning and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Are you keeping a list of requests that people have that we don't have in circulation? And is there something that is posted of like, oh, there's lots of requests for this certain item?
So before we started purchasing items, we had a survey out, and we purchased most of those items. I have gotten some suggestions in our suggestion box that I have on the list for our next round.
Yeah.
We're trying to buy most of what is suggested,
Yeah.
but it's not always
We haven't
feasible for
really-
us to get it.
Right, and we haven't publicized that list necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that website is up that I told you guys about last month, where if you go to link.org, there is a library of things icon, and if you click on that, it goes into the 7 categories, and you can see just what's in that category, see what we have. You can see whether it's checked in and how many holds there are on it. Like, we definitely need to get another air fryer. There's already like 20 holds on it, so.
Nice. People must want to try that.
Yeah.
And you can put holds, but it's only at that library that
Correct.
currently has the item.
You have to pick it up and return it at the owning library.
And you can't just check it out yourself using
No.
the self-check. You have to go through the front desk.
And how long is that last?
7 days?
7
Check
days?
out 7 days.
7 days? What about late fees, everything like that?
We
Is
want
that-
your firstborn child.
Yeah.
No, we don't. We have enough kids.
$5, right?
It's $5
a
per
day.
day.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
It's an incentive to get it
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, some of those policies could change over time too, just
Yes.
depending on, how it works, but we had to start somewhere,
Yeah.
so.
Could we get a
Denise was on
tour?
that committee.
Could we get it, I don't know if everyone is interested, or, I mean, I plan on coming over and I just wondered if we could do a tour or something. I mean, other questions might come up.
Of the Library of Things?
Yes.
Well, there's not much to look at.
Okay.
It's in the holds area where the holds are kept, in the audiovisual area right there where you do the returns. And it's like when you walk in, instead, like where the holds used to be, that's where all of that stuff is now.
Okay.
So it just depends on any one day, like what's there.
Right. Although we are putting out new stuff every day.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of like Lucky Day.
Yes.
It's there when you see it. Like we could set up a tour and then you could come over and there could be like nothing there.
True.
Yeah.
I just have questions in terms of, I in terms of how you choose if it's going to go on the shelf or not. Like I just used this tool and I was like, it's called a cutting tool. And it was really handy. Like I needed it really. And it, I'm only using it probably once in 10 years. But I could also hurt myself with it very easily. So I wondered if that's a
right.
part of the criteria.
It is.
Those kind of things are part of the criteria.
Is Nick going to hurt himself? with
So-
it? Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, and we a lot of the conversations included things about liability, like if somebody hurts themselves with such and such a tool, is there liability on the part of the library? But I mean, it also goes to the question of like, well, if somebody creates a bomb based on a book that somebody checked out from the library, is the library liable for that? So, the city has pretty good insurance. We hope not to get sued. We're trying to like buy relatively low risk things right now to start with. So no chainsaws, stuff like that. And there's also like, there's other tool libraries that are accessible for people. So, but, there's definitely an art to it. What's good for our library? What do people in our area want? So there's a lot, these guys put a lot of thought and they circulated lists to all of us a lot.
Do you have to sign a waiver?
You do not have to sign a waiver, but there is some guidelines, and one of the guidelines says that we're not responsible. But when you sign for your library card, you also sign to that, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
That answered a lot of my
some of those fine print things that you never read. Yeah.
What if somebody breaks the item and they lose some pieces to the puzzles that I saw were there?
Well, we're not too concerned about the puzzles, but there would be other, they would be liable to, replace
Yeah,
certain
up to the
things.
cost of replacement.
Yeah, up to the cost of replacement, depending on what happens. So,
Of course, taking normal wear and tear into consideration.
right, exactly. So part of the process is looking at all of this stuff when it comes back into the library, and having staff available to have some time to like, kind of go through it is important. So that's a thing. It's, we're having to look at like that end of things as well to make sure that, the resource of staff time is available to support this collection.
We will not be spending it counting puzzle pieces.
No,
We are counting on the patrons to let us know when they come back.
Yeah.
If
We're not
something's
reassembling.
missing.
Yeah, exactly. And then just related to puzzles, we started putting out a puzzle on the laptop desk upstairs. That's right by the reference area, and people can just walk by and work on the puzzle if they want to.
That's cool.
And we've only done one, but it looks pretty popular.
And we're on our second one now.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Will you accept donations of puzzles?
No.
We're not accepting donations of
At all.
anything right now.
I just wondered if that
Yeah.
was different than books.
No.
Yeah, no, but you know what? The Friends do have puzzles.
They do.
Yep, and I think they'll accept them, yeah. Yeah. So launching this is a big deal. A lot of people have been working on it for a really long time. So far, it seems like it's working really smoothly. We're trying to keep on top of any concerns that we have. If you want to come by, anybody wants to come by anytime when they're in the library, just grab one of us and we'll show you stuff. Denise has put a ton of time into the selection of things. So. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, good job, Denise.
Exciting.
She's amazing. She's amazing. Now, maybe Denise knows a little bit about this one too, because I wasn't around when it happened, but Gina and the Adult Services launched a series of programs that is titled Building Bridges, and it's conversations around racism. And did you hear anything about the first one? I think the second one's coming up.
The first one had good attendance.
Great.
Gina said there was great conversation.
Awesome.
Kept a really nice tone.
Good.
And yeah,
Seemed to go well.
seemed to go well.
Excellent.
The lady that does it is very, very good. I've gone to I don't know if it was a year ago, probably 6 months ago or so. It was really great.
Good.
Yeah, she was actually at the conference that I went to yesterday as well.
Oh, okay. Denise attended a diversity conference for municipal staff. Did you go to that? Yeah. Yeah, it looked really good. I need to hear more about that. And then we're also making more connections with the schools and our BAM programming, you know, because Accessibility Matters is also doing really well too. So I just feel like, you know, the library has made really good inroads into places that we want to, and those relationships continue to grow. And I'm just super pleased about it. So.
Yeah, I think the library, or you and your staff really deserve special thanks for doing what you're doing with those, both of those. I mean, I do BAM, and there's really some good things happening there.
That's great.
And then with the schools, I know a year or so ago it was, you know, there were things going, but not at the same level as it is now. And I think I'm really impressed. I'm super
Well,
impressed.
and like today, for instance, also Sabrina, who works in the youth services department, went out to Parrot Creek, which is the juvenile detention place, and worked with the kids out there for a while. And we're just trying to get to these places. You know, she's doing a monthly visit to middle and high school, right? Middle schools and high school. And she just went to one of the middle schools last week too. And because the district librarian and the media specialists are meeting at the library, that allows us to connect with them in a different way. And we've actually put them in touch with the Friends because they don't have any funding for books in their libraries. And so the Friends can like actually direct donations that they don't need to go to the school libraries. So it's all getting like connected in the way that's really helpful for the people who we want to help the most, which is the kids, you know. And strong, literate, educated kids makes for a strong community. So we're all trying to work together as much as possible on that. And I think it's really starting to come to fruition. So I'm super excited about it. But I have an update on the community room door for you guys. And it is ready to be used as an ingress and egress door. That physical part of it is done. Now we just have to like sit down and think about, okay, if somebody's going to do that, what training do they need? What do we need them to do? Do we need to like put the alarm on a timer, you know, on a schedule instead of the way it is right now? We set it ourselves. Whoever's the last person, you know, that is the stuff that needs to get thought out now. So at least the door got done before December, but as far as like the policy that goes with it, that, or, you know, the procedures that go with it, we'll see. Because unfortunately, was gone like almost 3 weeks, and I'm going to need to leave again for a couple more weeks because my mother is ill. And so, you know, my priority is getting a new library director hired. And so some of the stuff might have to like fall down a little bit, but we're getting done what we can. So that's what you need to know, is we're staying on top of everything that we must stay on top of and getting done what we can. So any questions about anything or that I said or anything I didn't say?
All right, move on to item 5, review of the state library report.
Okay. Well, I did send you guys a couple versions of this. Sorry about that, but the updated one, it was just because I didn't even have access to go in and like do some changes. It had to happen at the state library level, but they were pretty minor. You know, you can see from part 2 that we're slightly down in our staff, but not very much. The other thing I told you about that really throws me is always like last year is on the far right and the current year is in the middle, and that just like always throws me every time I look at this, but whatever. And also the last year is italicized, so that helps a little bit too. And then like 1.19, there's actually some new statistics in here. So like this last year, they asked how many new users did you add on, you know, so that's just an addition of all 12 months, which is a figure that I give you every month. We are back up again above 20,000, but again, they do that once a year thing of like purge of who hasn't used their library card, blah, blah, blah. So we'll drop again. Over the course of the year, though, you can see that we add like almost 3,300 people. Staff is busy doing a lot of work, you know? So, library revenue was good as, our numbers, our amount is up from the district, our amount is up from donations and other operating revenue. What's not up is the income from the city, and last year was stable, but as you know, this year, it's also stable, but they charged us more administrative fees, so I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna show up on this report, but like, we know that the city's doing that, so that's life. You know, I mean, what jumped out at you guys as questions when you were looking at this?
Not questions, but I guess a statement is that the number of children programs have been reduced by like 30 or 40, and the number of attendees was up.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that when you look at it in balance, it's a pretty remarkable. I guess the question might be, what, you know, were there programs that were totally eliminated, or just the intensity of
Didn't we eliminate a story time or something?
We did. We used to have 2 story times on Friday. We went down to 1.
Yeah. So that made it, I mean, that's, you know, 30 right
30
there.
some, yeah.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
I had a question about collections,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know. I know that we're spending, I think, if I remember right, about a couple $100,000. Is that right?
Collections, yeah, I can't remember either. That sounds about right. What's your question?
My question is, how do we know if that's the right amount? I mean, I know you're buying materials, obviously, and you're using the money, but are there standards for that?
Well, funny you should raise the question of standards. So the Oregon Library Association standards for public libraries have gone from quantitative to being more qualitative. And the problem with that is, you know, who gets to decide if it's a quality collection? Well, that's, you know, hopefully your professionals, what they're doing. But as far as, you know, the quantity never was meant to be like this black and white, you must have this many number of books, but a guideline, and it was kind of a helpful guideline. We also had quantities around square footage and staffing. So, you know, to be honest, I was part of the group that helped to move it from quantitative to qualitative, because the entire standards just needed like an overhaul. So, you know, you could look at this and it's really hard to know, like, what the right number is. We still have room on our shelf for more books. And it's kind of an art to like, okay, I'm going to order this. Is this circulating great? Do I have enough depth in this part of the collection? You know, that kind of thing. So there's not really a hard and fast rule on it anymore. Like there used to be like some more helpful numbers, and in Oregon there aren't really. Yeah. Would you want to say anything about that, Larry? Okay. But you've got a question?
Good. Okay, please.
How is this data actually used?
How's it actually used?
Yeah, how is it? I mean, it's great to collect it at some point, say, in case some legislator asks or whatever. How is it really used?
Well, it's not really used in my mind. I mean, there's some figures there that help the state decide how much money to send each library for the Ready to Read grant, but that's the only money that we have coming out of the state library. It is great for libraries to look at for comparison figures, you know, and since there's not like hard and fast quantitative standards, that can be really, really helpful. So last time I looked, like the Springfield Public Library was right next to us as far as population size, so I could look and see how many staff they have, or how many square feet they have, or how big their collections are. I mean, so it does help library directors gather a sense of like, you know, what the right kind of quantities are for things. But it's not used really for or against us, but it is mandated.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question about staff salaries.
Yeah.
I see it's reported for what I would assume would be exempt employees on an hourly basis. How do you figure that? I mean, just figure 40 hours and for everybody and.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, I have a salary that, yeah, it does have an hourly rate that is reported on my, you know.
Oh,
my-
so locally you do have hourly rates listed?
Yep.
So it's not a matter of sort of making up the numbers?
No, no, I get paid for 40 hours, whether I'm here, you know, 80 or 30.
They were asking for salary ranges, weren't they?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah, and in here they have salary ranges, yeah.
Which that's pretty public information. anyhow,
Each
so.
position has an
Yeah.
hourly rate.
Mm-hmm.
I just never came across professional salaries listed on an hourly basis. That's why it surprised me.
Yeah.
Increase in volunteers was good.
Yeah, and that actually is interesting because it then takes up a lot more staff time to supervise those volunteers. So we've kind of had to, you know, Katrina, our circulation person, is the person who ends up like working with them, and she does a fantastic job. But they do require a lot of training, you know. So, and oversight, but they contribute a lot. And that's been one of the really nice things about being in our new building is that we have things like when we moved into the Carnegie 10 years ago or whenever that was, it's a long time ago, we just said we cannot fit volunteers in here. We cannot. So we lost a lot of people who are really committed to that. So it's been nice to build that back up. Yeah, it's a great way to get people involved. And some of our people have gone from being on the library board, Jan Wallander is a great example, to being on the foundation board, to being a library volunteer. She's incredible, yeah. So it's really fun because every Tuesday she's shelving right in front of my office. Yeah,
Did she bring wine?
she will bring wine to the Dolly Parton party. Yeah.
All right, well, any other questions? All right, we'll move on to item 6, new board member interviews. We have changed the questions a little bit.
Yeah, what did you think of my suggestions that I sent to you?
I hope they were great.
I agree.
Okay,
Very well worded. 8 has a strike through it.
thank you. Yeah, Denise and I got back and said, I hope this is what they were wanting. All look good?
Yeah?
Okay.
I'll accept a typo.
I'll accept the typo. All right, well, I hope you never expect perfection from me. That is just completely unrealistic. So what I'll do is,
Has recruitment closed? Do you know how many?
recruitment has closed. It's been closed for a while, but we also, like, if somebody were to want to apply late, we've never turned anybody down. As far as I know, we have 4 applicants, you 2, and then 2 more people who were interested in previous years as well. And so, assuming that is correct, Katie hasn't given us the final, you know, applications yet, but I will set up interviews for November with the 4 candidates and send these questions to everybody ahead of time. So, yeah, we usually do like 20 minutes per candidate, you know, kind of a half an hour more or less for each person. So that means a 2-hour meeting if everybody takes enough time.
Okay, and that's the only item on the agenda for that meeting?
Yeah, unless we want a director's report and include some information. Carrie has asked for some information about the staff training that we're doing next week.
Okay.
A report on that.
Okay. So
But, yeah.
Larry will have to do that meeting then.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Larry, you'll be in charge.
Will I be doing the whole meeting or just the part where we're interviewing?
It sounds like that's going to be, the whole meeting is going to be the interview.
Maybe,
just a
yeah,
director's report or
and just a
something,
really
so.
brief report or something like that, which we could also get into more depth in December or whatever. That sound okay?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to item 7, an update on the library director recruitment.
So I haven't asked in the last couple of days, but the last time I asked, we had 11 applications. It doesn't close for another at least week and a half, right?
I'm thinking the 21st.
Yeah, the 21st sounds about right.
Yeah.
And when we posted it, we gave people a month. And I know we have a couple good ones, only because I've asked people directly. I've forced them to tell me, because I am not above that. And so I know we have a couple of good applications, so I'm not concerned at all that you will have a fantastic next library director. Denise and I are going to sit down in the next soon and talk to Patrick more about the exact timeline and what the interview process looks like. And we've kind of talked about that before with, since I went through that process in Newburgh and kind of how they split it out and getting people from boards involved and stuff like that. So we just need to kind of fine tune some of that. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want to have that set up in case I am going back to Colorado. Well, I am definitely going back to Colorado. It's just a matter of what that timing looks like so that we can get that set up and know what that's going to look like and get things in place and get people invited. And then I'll be back for that process, if not, something else, but for sure that. So, any questions about that? I just wanted to assure you guys that it's going forward. I'm confident that we're going to have good candidates.
And sometimes they do the open house. Will that occur as part of this?
What we are thinking about is doing something like an open house at the end of the interview process, like at the end of the day or something, and inviting library staff and all the boards, not just random open public, but people who are particular stakeholders. So the foundation, Friends, library board, and staff probably would do something over at the library in the community room or something, and I guess the question always is okay, great. So you've got let's say 4 or 5 candidates in a room. What do you make them do? How do you make them perform? So, but I mean, you do want somebody who can get up in front of a group of people and not sound oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. It is a requirement of this job that you get in front of a group of people and can string a few words together. So, yeah. So that's one of those things we'll be working on exactly, what do we ask them about during that time. But yeah, I think so, Nick.
All right, item number 8, prepare for the annual report to the city commission.
And this can be the kind of thing that is any time before January probably, but I mean, so what do we have? It's October already, November, December. And well, you guys can look back and say, well, we helped complete the strategic plan. We've reviewed all of our meetings. We can look at what has happened. We've helped prepare for a new library director. It can be very brief, but we need to have probably the chair, a few people there in the audience. The commission meets the first and third Wednesday of every month. So we just need to kind of get on the agenda for down the road and then think what we want that to look like. It's very low. The good thing about the library is the library is doing really well and everybody loves the library. So we're in such a good position,
That's right.
And our support groups are so amazing and, so supportive. So we come from a very good position when we go to speak with the city commission.
I just think it's an opportunity to get the recognition for you, for the library, for the staff. I think it's great. So I can't remember what there was a short presentation, right, last time, or I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
I can't remember.
It's been a whole year.
But I mean,
Jan did it.
Jan did it, that's right.
but just going through, I mean, I think when I look back and look the discussions we had for the strategic plan, there's so many of those things that are underway and they're successfully underway. You know, I think, like I said earlier, I think the school, that whole, how you described it is just fantastic.
And we can like look at the strategic plan and we can like pick out some of those things that are underway and talk about them. It's also an opportunity to educate if you ever really want to, like, you know, because you've got kind of a captive audience, not just the commission. You're not just reporting to the commission. That's the other thing to remember. It's on TV. You've got an audience here. You know, if there's anything that you want to educate people about, we can talk about library things. We could talk about BAM. We can talk about new things we're doing, you know, and the other thing is I met with Karen Martini today from the foundation, and I suggested to her, like, maybe we want to do a short presentation to the city commission about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library thing that is getting kicked off right now. I mean, we could make those, you know, if you think that's a good idea, and just think about it, we don't have to decide tonight. Maybe those should be on the same night. We could have like library night. I don't know. You know, there's different strategies that we can think about here. So, and we probably do want to make it relatively brief, quick and painless and easy, while still emphasizing the most important things. So we can put together a PowerPoint or whatever.
How much time is allocated?
It's as much time as we want, but like this is going to be a very small part of a city commission agenda. And, you know, I would say 10 minutes is more than enough to, like, you know, let's keep it brief and to the point. And I could also talk to Tony too about strategies, you know, to get the most bang for our buck on the work that we would put into something like this. So.
All right.
Okay.
Number 9, communications.
Before we do that, there's a couple things on my report that I forgot to do. First of all, I do want to reiterate that we will be closed next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday is all staff training with all of the libraries in Clackamas County. We'll be focusing on diversity, inclusion, and equity. And so this is why Carrie was interested in hearing what we get out of that for November. Tuesday will be our annual maintenance day, cleaning and maintenance day. We're trying to get a bunch of projects done. Gosh, our maintenance person has like 10 projects lined up for the building. And then Wednesday, we will be doing just our staff a training on homelessness by, it's an online training, but it's presented by Ryan Dowd, who is an attorney out of Chicago, I think, who is does these trainings with librarians specifically in mind. And we are also going to make that training available to the Friends at a later date because, you know, being in the same location as we are, they have some of the same issues as we do. So that's going on. And then Suzanne brought up a great question about the census. And we have not decided to do any one particular thing, but we're staying on top of the materials. They will be making materials available to us. And we have also talked about, like, if we needed to, we could make one particular, add a laptop and station that could be just available for that if we seem that there are like a whole bunch of people coming in to do their,
Yeah,
exactly.
I just was thinking it's the first time the census is online and folks may have questions about
Absolutely, yeah.
how to do
so
that.
the American Library Association's done a really good job of like getting material out there early and often on that. I mean, and mostly it's awareness at this point in time. They were doing, the Census Bureau was doing a bunch of recruiting at one point of time at libraries for workers, but they didn't select our library to do that from. They never really, you know, approached us on that.
Yeah.
And to date, that's really kind of the only thing they've approached libraries directly on. They did come and talk to, you know, like the commission and everything. They've been making presentations all over the place, which is really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely it's like, you know, in our minds, but kind of wait and see what their materials are and make those available. And of course, any help. Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Those were two topics I forgot to get to.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to number 9, communications. Start with Nick, LDAC update.
Okay, LDAC update. As you all know, there's been a discussion going on between Canby and Oregon City relative to the split of the service areas. And there had been discussions before the LDAC, but LDAC created an opportunity for Canby to discuss it with the rest of the libraries, in effect, and with representatives from the various libraries. So it was introduced. Canby's been under financial strains for quite a while, and that has been discussed before at LDAC. And so it wasn't like everyone was super surprised that there were still discussions going on, but there were honestly, the discussion went on for an hour and 20 minutes. So it wasn't intense, but it was a lot of just really trying to come back. And Canby's position is that they want to redraw the service area now. And the results of the meeting was that it's going to be part of the large task force, which I think everyone in Oregon City that I'm aware of, in terms of the request, that's what we wanted to have done, so that it stands at that right now, that it would be the first topic to really be addressed as part of the large task force. And one of the main reasons that it was, and I have to say, Tony Conkle was there. Thank goodness.
I was out of town for my son's wedding, so Tony attended in my place.
He did a fantastic job. I'm so happy he was there, because he could really speak for Oregon City, which would have been difficult. I mean, I could have done it, but not at the level that Tony can, because he represents the city as a city manager. And he was steadfast in his positioning relative to this being part of the task force. And also, he stressed that we need to do it with data. And that was a real big part of it. And I think that really hit home to a lot of the other libraries. And the other libraries have questions about service area too. So it's not just Oregon City and Canby. So I think that result was really good. And most of the libraries were supportive of waiting and doing it all as one effort. And for that reason, just to, because I'm sure it's going to be, service areas will be a big topic for the task force, for sure. Because the biggest thing is it relates to money. So that always creates interest. So the other part of LDAC is that LDAC itself will probably not, right now we're planning on meeting next time in January. So the focus is really on the large task force. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
Thank you, Nick, for being our LDAC correspondent. Appreciate it. I know. Long meetings to go through, but thank you. Cynthia, Library Foundation report.
Well, the Library Foundation is ramping up for the October 18th Dolly Parton Imagination Library kickoff event, which is 6 to 9 that evening at the Pioneer Community Center. Hearty hors d'oeuvres will be served, along with wine, beer, and cider, as well as coffee and ice water. And the Ellen White Band will be playing for your engagement, and we're hoping that people come with open hearts and open checkbooks, to be quite blunt about it. And so if you have not received your personal invitation in the mail or email, please let me or Maureen know so that you can get that. And we have a lovely invitation that's been printed, and it will give you more information and details about the event. and we're working hard to pull that off. It's going to be good. I hope you come. I hope you bring your significant other and others, and I hope that you register for it soon so that we can make sure that there are enough hearty hors d'oeuvres for everyone.
And there's going to be a Dolly Parton sighting, a facsimile of Dolly Parton sighting. And who wants to miss that? All I'm saying.
It's funny, staff were just saying today, Dolly's gonna be there, right?
Not the real one.
But, yeah.
You have the full-size cutout. They were supposed to get an invite mailed, weren't they? Or was it emailed?
It was mailed.
I definitely got it.
I think it was,
You didn't get one?
I
don't think I got one.
Yeah.
I got both.
I didn't get
got
one
one via mail.
okay, so he did not get one either.
I didn't get one.
So we'll make sure that you get information.
Well, yeah, we'll make sure we email it to you since it's like,
If we got them, I don't know if it made it in the house.
If it looked like.
you didn't get one either, Ken? Did Ken get one?
Larry didn't get one.
Larry, Ken, did you get one?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably not.
I'll resend.
The email is really what's important because that's how you register.
Yeah.
It gives you the,
Yeah, and
gives you the
you can just
access.
email me back. I can just, it's just a number for Karen, that's all she wants.
Okay.
It's, free to attend.
That'd be great.
And,
What time does it start?
It starts at 6, but 6 to 9. It's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter if you're there at 6.
Will there be country music?
I don't know. I don't know that Ellen plays country music.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
She does the blues. So,
Yeah.
and sort of a jazz blues kind of mix. And so the other thing that's going to happen is that in October, November, I can't remember which now, is that we'll have the opportunity to meet with other Dolly Parton Imagination Library participants to talk over how that project goes, what they've learned. It'll be kind of a regional meeting for all of those libraries that are doing this. And I think that'll be a great opportunity for us to learn about the pitfalls and promising practices as we unfold our project. And I think that will be a good day because we'll really hear how it works on the ground. And we have things to learn about that. So.
And speaking of partnerships, Karen and I just had a meeting with somebody from the School District Foundation today, and they're definitely on board with us. So, I mean, this is just another piece of that, like, growing that structure to support our youth, in Oregon City. It feels really good.
I think of these kind of events as both fundraising and friend-raising.
Very good.
And I think that's really an important thing to remember, that even if someone cannot contribute, that they can become a friend and help us in many ways that are not necessarily based on cash, but based on support, participation, and encouragement.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. Ken, with the Friends of the Library update.
In the same vein about the Dolly Parton event, the Friends have donated $500 to that project. And that's that one. They're going to have a Black Friday sale. It's first Black Friday, but it extends all the way through till Sunday. 50% off of everything except artwork. And they have, and you can buy gift certificates for their products and give them as gifts.
Is that this Friday?
No,
Black
Black Friday.
After
Black
Thanksgiving.
Friday of Thanksgiving?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the real Black Friday,
Is that what it is?
plus 2 other days. So you got a Black Friday,
Black
Gray
Saturday,
Saturday, and White Saturday.
And Cyber Monday.
And they're also
That's right.
on for the children coming, was it the first graders coming to the library?
It's first graders, yeah.
They will be sending checks to the individual schools for the bus ride for the that the schools say they need to have for the,
Yeah, there's, some schools don't have it in their budget to pay for the bus to get the kids to the library. And so we have worked with the Friends to set up a system that if a teacher needs, you know, to be able to do that, we'll get them the money. The Friends have set aside $1,000 towards that because that's what we estimated based on the free and reduced lunch number of children that they would have at their school, so.
and of course, they're doing fine. Their income is, I think, is ahead of what they expected, and they're glad they moved to the new place. And of course, they talk about any business kind of problems too, which have no effect with us here, but they seem to know what the heck they're doing.
I think they're doing great. They are.
They don't fight. They really get along well.
They're another board that's getting along well together, yeah, and they're doing a great job, yeah.
Thank you, Ken. All right, we'll move on to item number 10, future agenda items. So just to be clear about the board interviews, we will do those next month.
Yep,
And we
November.
went over the questions, and those will be given at a time to
Yep,
the
to all
four
the candidates. Yes.
And then Susie and I will recuse ourselves from the whole meeting.
Okay.
I have a comment. I think on Sunday, the Oregonian had a fairly substantial article on what ebooks publishers are trying to do to
Oh,
libraries.
thank you for bringing that up.
And I think it would be a good idea to people take a good look at and try to figure out how we're going to deal with it.
Well, so there's some online petitions I could send you guys. Aaron's been posting some stuff on social media about it. So Macmillan Publishers is placing an embargo on ebooks. We get, oh gosh, it's just terrible. We get we can only buy one copy and then, gosh, then we can't buy it, the second copy for 20 days or something.
like that.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. So we can only buy one copy to start with when a new ebook comes out. It's really, really bad. I'll send you some information about it. You can sign an online petition, and I don't know really what would be helpful. Libraries all over the country are up in arms about it, but they're very big and very powerful, and it really, really will restrict public access to, they're looking at our access to ebooks as a very negative thing, but actually, libraries have always helped sell books. Because it introduces people to multiple authors, then they go off and we all do that. We all go buy our own copies of certain things. So, thank you for bringing that up.
All right, anything else? Any unfinished or new business? Okay, and there is no further business. The meeting is adjourned.